The Notion API is going to help so much my business because some of the tasks that before I was doing manually, now I can automate using Zapier. So in today's video, I'm going to focus on the business use cases of this API and how I have built all the automations. By the way, if you still don't know how to set up your Notion to be able to use these automations, I'm gonna link this video over here, which is my previous video in which I explain the whole process. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to automate was my lead generation. Normally, most of my consultation business comes from my email. So what I have done is now, every time that I receive an inbound email asking for consultations, I'm going to label them as prospect. And that is going to be the trigger for the automation. And I'm going to show you how this looks like. So this is how this new consultations pipeline database looks like. And we can see that there's 3 different statuses: prospect, confirmed, and declined. Like this, I can track everything that's going on. So let me show you the automation real quick. As I said, the trigger for this automation is whenever I label an email with this label, client prospect. So now the next natural step will be to include this data into Notion, right? But if you don't have a Google Workspace account, you will not be able to do so because Gmail cannot send data from free accounts to Notion. So therefore, we have to use a workaround. This idea came from Ruben Loan, one fellow Notion productivity YouTuber. So what we are going to do is to bring all the data from this email into a Google Sheets spreadsheet that I have just created for this purpose. So this is how this Google Sheets looks like, just the email, name, subject, date, and the body of the email. So once that data is there, I can then create a new database item, pulling the data from this Google spreadsheet instead of from Gmail. And this looks like this. So that data is going to go to this consultations pipeline with the name, the email, when he contacted me, and I'm going to set the status to prospect. And also in the body of the entry, I'm gonna write all the email body. And that is it. After this runs, what is going to happen is that a new entry is going to be created here. And now we can use Notion for not forgetting to follow up with any of them. This comes from my Zapier billing. I was testing it with this email. So we can set here when we first contacted. This is automatic. And then I have created this formula to know whether or not I should contact this prospect after 10 days or not. So if I have a prospect and 10 days has passed and I haven't gotten any news from them, then I will be able to filter this in any view that I can create inside of my workspace. And all of this automatic. Now the next step in my case will be to go from prospect to confirmed. And this happens normally when they schedule a consultation with me and make the payment. So I'm using this app for calendar scheduling. Maybe you are using Calendly or any other, but all of them have integration with Zapier. So you will be also able to do this. So whenever there is a new meeting, I'm filtering by the URL to ensure that it's a consultation. And I'm going to create a row in the consultations database. This is a separate database that I use for keeping up with everything that is going on with each of the prospects. And then if there is a payment, I'm gonna create a row in the money movement database. This I will explain you later when we go to the finance part. And I'm gonna find in this previous database, in the consultations pipeline database, I'm going to find the prospect and I'm gonna use the email for that. So this is the action find database in Notion, and here I'm using the email. And once I have found the row, I can update the data of the prospect using this same ID that I got from the previous step, from step number 6, remember, and write which was the payment amount and move the status to confirmed, which is this next step. And then of course we can use another automation using the labels in Gmail. So whenever some prospect decline our offer, we just put that label and send him to decline automatically. This will be the same automation and this one that we just saw. So now let's go to the finance part. The purpose of this is that every time there is a money movement in the company, it will be reflected in one database. So later, in my current system, I was linking every money movement entry with the current month, and that was a relational property. So then I can see the average and different data month to month. But so far, this is not something that we can do with Notion's API. We cannot alter or link databases from Zapier, for example. So this is something that we are going to have to do manually. But other than that, this works wonders. Let me show you. Okay, so as you can see here, we have 2 automations. So the money that comes from my PayPal or from my Stripe will automatically go to Notion. So let me show you one real quick. Both are the same. They're just for different providers. This is whenever there is a new charge in Stripe, we're going to create a new database item in the money movements database. So then when we go to our money movements database, the new entry will appear here, but again, we will have to link to the month manually. If you're interested in knowing how I manage my finance, I'm also going to link a video over here where I show you how this database relates to the months and which are the monthly and yearly reports that we can get through this. And if you remember from the automation that I showed you before, the ones that I'm using the x.ai to schedule my consultations, here is where I'm creating the row for this money movements database. So I have already automated the 3 income paths that my business has, which is from consultations using this app, from Stripe, and from PayPal, which I use to receive the money from the Notion Academy course and my Notion templates. So everything is right now automated and centralized in that money movements database. Before I was doing it manually, of course. Now this workflow can apply both to businesses and to individuals. This is creating recurring tasks. Yes, using Zapier, we finally can have real recurring tasks. Let me show you how this works. In Zapier, we have this trigger that we can set with any periodicity that we need. So mine is going to trigger every Saturday at midnight. And I want that this Saturday at midnight, I create a task for the next week because every Saturday I write my newsletter. So the next step is going to format the date and time. To do that, I'm gonna add plus 7 days to the date that I created this trigger. So you're going to take the date plus 7. And then I'm going to apply the output of this step, which as you can see is 26. Before it was 19, so plus 7. So I'm going to apply the output in here in creating this new task. Write the newsletter, the status is not started, and the periodicity is every week. So yes, finally, we have recurring tasks in Notion. Now, business workflow is going to be about creating tasks from Slack conversations. I know that most professionals use Slack as the way to communicate internally within the company. And from those conversations, a lot of times new tasks come up. So now we have an amazing way, you will see why, to create tasks from Slack. So let's say that I'm talking to myself and I remind that I have to do something. Okay, so I see it, and therefore here there is a new task that I need to do. So I will go here, push this to Zapier, select the automation, and write here the name of the task that I want to do, and push. So in the meantime that this task gets created, because remember, in the plan that I'm using, the triggers can delay up to 15 minutes, I'm going to explain you how the automation works. The trigger is going to be a new pushed message in Slack. And there is nothing to set here. Just choose your account and you're good to go. And then the next one is going to be create a database item. But here, what I have done is that the name of the tasks is the text that I have written after I have pushed. Remember that I wrote the name of the task manually, right? So that is the text that I'm going to add here. And this property is called text added. And then for some context, I'm going to set that the project is Slack and that the content, and this field over here is the content of the task page itself. So here we can write freely. I have written who is this from, what is the channel that he sent the message in, and which has been the message. And that is it. If we are lucky, our task is ready. Yeah, and here it is. There is a new task with the project Slack, and inside of it, we can see that is from me, the channel. There is no channel because it was a DM, and this is the message. Okay, I have left my favorite automation for the end of this video. This is how I'm going to manage my video editing with my editor. So the process normally is as follows. First, I'm gonna think of a video idea, I'm going to script the video, I'm going to record the video, which I'm doing right now. And after this, I'm going to create a folder in our shared Google Drive, and that folder is going to have the name of the video. And in that folder, I'm going to upload all the raw materials, all the videos, all the images, and everything that he needs. And that is going to be the trigger of this automation. Let me show you which are the steps. The trigger is going to be a new folder created in Google Drive. And I'm going to specify that is the folder that I call YouTube. So whenever that happens, I'm going to find a database item in Notion. And what I'm going to be using is the name of the folder to find that same entry in my YouTube videos Notion database. So yes, both will have to have exactly the same name so they can match and this automation can find it. Because remember, first we have to find the row that we want to edit and then edit. It's two different steps. So here we can see that I'm using the title of the new folder that I just created. And once I have found that row, I'm going to update it using the ID from step number 2. I'm going to change the status to ready to edit. I'm going to assign it to my editor, and I'm also going to include the new folder's URL so he can access it more easily. And after this, I'm going to have this delay for 4 hours so I can have time to actually upload all the materials. And then I'm going to send him an email with this subject and this body with all the information that he needs for editing the video. But this is not all, because then after he edits the video, then he's going to upload it to frame.io. I'm gonna give him feedback. And once we have the final video, he's going to upload it to YouTube, right in the description that I provided to him, as well as the thumbnails that he has edited. And once that happens, another automation is going to be triggered. Because yes, also YouTube can be integrated with Zapier. So whenever there is a new video uploaded in my channel, again, we are going to find that video in our database and update the database item to change the status to published and the assignee to me, so my editor no longer have it assigned. And also that I forgot, I'm going to be writing here the YouTube URL automatically. And after this, I'm gonna send an email to myself, because remember, it's the editor who uploads the video to YouTube, and I'm going to notify me that this video has been uploaded and the URL so I can watch it. Well, as you can see, there is so many things that we can do with this API. I was waiting for this for so long time, and this is going to provide my business the leverage that I wanted to have even more free time to spend with my girlfriend. So I hope with this video, I have sparked you some new ideas that you can implement in your business. And if you have any question or any implementation that you don't know how to do, please contact me. You know that you have my email, my Twitter, it's everywhere, and I will help you out. Okay, so that is it for this video, guys, and as always, hasta la próxima.